What is going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the You're Still Here podcast. I just want to start by saying last week, I was kind of throwing the set together on short notice because, as you can see, because now it's a little more put together, that last week I didn't have the focus on the camera because I was kind of panicking, so I didn't upload that episode to YouTube. So if you watch these full episodes on YouTube, there was a full episode last week, but that one you're going to have to listen to because I calculated the odds of uploading the whole thing. It was slightly blurry because I didn't manipulate the focus properly because everything was so rushed. However, I think we're a little bit better off this week, and who knows, next week it might look a little bit, but each week as the studio grows, it's natural. Like if you've seen any episodes in the previous years, when I have a new place or I'm building a new studio, it slightly gets better every single week, unlike this summer, which is just progressively getting worse every single week. Happy 4th of July. I know I mentioned that last week. So how was your 4th of July? I'm going to do that thing that I normally do where I just think everybody is in the Northeast and that's a representation of the whole country. But it was the perfect microcosm of how this summer has gone so far. It was awful weather, full rain, and I'm not kidding. You can check this because it said it on the Nathan's Hot Dog Contest, 100% humidity. The maximum amount of humidity allotted was what we had on 4th of July. And if there's one person who I know despises humidity like I do, it's Tony Twist over here. 4th of July.
Brutal. Humid.
I stayed inside every second. I did a grand total of nothing. And if there was a great indication of how awful this summer has gone so far, it's the fact that they prematurely announced that the Nathan's Hot Dog Eating Contest was canceled. They said that it was canceled, and rumor has it, and I don't know, I like to believe that this is true, that Joey Chestnut straight up came out and said, I don't care if they publicly cancel the event. I don't care if the NYPD cancels the event. Me and these other dog eaters are going to go down the block and do it. So I think that prompted everybody to say, all right, you know what, let's just wait this out. And the Nathan's Hot Dog Contest went down as planned, but because of variables, Chestnut wasn't able to put down as many as he had once hoped, but easily won the competition. I think he's won 15 out of 16, 14 out of 15, and it's really becoming one of those things now where it's like ingrained into your 4th of July activities. Like, Joey Chestnut is a part of it. Like when he retires and we're just watching these random other people, I don't know if it's going to have its same luster because it's not like we're watching these other.
It's not going to have that juice. I mean, we're watching a guy in his prime destroying hot dogs.
And I guess my only proof would be that we don't really watch any other eating contests. Those introductions are absolutely ridiculous.
He has asked his wife to call him Megastrami in honor of the 7-pound sandwich that he ate on their wedding day.
I mean, I know they are intentionally absurd.
His great-grandparents were Backfat Johnson and Muffin Top Murphy, two of the greatest meatloaf and gravy eaters of the early 20th century.
But when they bring out these rankings, like it's top 10 UFC fighters,
the number 21 ranked eater in the world.
There are championships for every single food. Like this guy's the national cornbread eating champion.
Also a donut specialist. Who knew?
That was the height of my 4th of July. I did a grand total of nothing because I'm not one of those people who's going to fight tooth and nail to go by a river and watch some sort of fireworks show. I briefly mentioned this last year. I think and I should mention it every year because just in case there are new listeners, I want you to know that if you're one of these people partaking in fireworks shows, they really pulled one over on you. I mean, you can put on an ocular. Actually, I was watching Black Mirror. New episodes of Black Mirror came out, okay? That's what's right around the corner from us. We're living in alternate places, alternate timelines where we could be watching a show on Netflix about us that happens the following day. Like you live your life and then there's a show about it the following day. That's what one of the episodes of Black Mirror is about. We're right around the corner from that, yet we're all going to line up on a river and watch fireworks go bang. with the exemption of if you're a parent, kids, they don't know about the Black Mirror alternate future, so big loud bangs and colors are cool for them. But if you're an adult, you're a couple, you're no worse than adult couples going to Disney, lining up to watch the big fireworks. And,
I haven't seen a new firework in I don't know how long.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's not like there's new shows, there's new oh, did you see? No, it's the same one. It's the same
I don't
assortment.
care what music you put it to. It's the same ones since I realized what a firework was.
And not to mention, if you have your own personal, I mean, that's even worse. If you go to a show, at least they have access to bomb-level fireworks.
Sure.
But what are we talking about here? The
down the
sparklers
street
and
from my house.
the Roman candles.
Yeah, everybody risking blowing off a finger for a big round red ball of dust for 1 second.
Now, when we were younger and you could somehow get your hands on like M80s and blockbusters, now that's a little different when you're a teen.
When you're a teen, yes.
Yeah, you blow
I don't
want
to be near an M80 now.
1,000%. If you list the positives and negatives of M80
usage.
Yeah. I was going to say deployment. Deploying M80s. But yeah, I think this 4th of July has been a perfect representation of the way I depicted this summer. Now, I don't know, is there another podcast saying, well, this has been the best summer so far? Well, list what's happened. Now, if you want to say that you've had this private awesome summer, but I just kind of don't believe you. I think this summer has been miserable and the weather has been miserable. I know I've mentioned global shifting, how it stays cold straight through Memorial Day, but let me tell you something. It went from the weather being beautiful to every day is somehow worse than the last. Like today, right now, I know I just mentioned 4th of July with 100% humidity. It's nicer than today. It's the hottest. Every day is now becoming full, like middle of the jungle type weather. And when you get hot, humid summers, who happens to come around that bend?
The worst creature of all, the mosquitoes.
Me and Mr. Twist, we have a lifelong fight and battle going against mosquitoes. I don't partake in almost every summer activity that you probably enjoy. Yeah, you enjoy fishing? Great. You enjoy camping? Great. I mean, I can start a whole thing. Well, you enjoy list me what you enjoy about camping. Actually list it. Oh, yeah, we're going to go on a pre-planned hiking trail that a bunch of humans just scooped out for you so you know exactly where to go. Oh, yeah, that's real spontaneous. If you're going to be a hiker and you're going to be a camper, do it the real way where you can actually die. But over here, when you go on these pre-planned trails to bring out your Timberland zip bag and your tents and your easy mac and cheese that you got over, it's kind of a scam event. But not only that, there's just nothing enjoyable. There's nothing enjoyable. But anyway, the why I was bringing that up, those summer activities are all accompanied, if they are outdoor, by my nemesis, Mr. Mosquito, the mosquito, skeeters. And they can ruin any event for me. I mean, going back to high school, most people, when they grow up in high school, I've learned that everyone has their zoned off woods area that they go and they drink at. And we had one, and I loved going during the winter. Fall, fine. Spring, I'm all right. Summer, you would never catch me there. I would forego all the summer drinking nights. I have a semi-excuse. My mosquito bites kind of blow up, but it's not that. When I show up to an event, they sound the orc horns. The mosquitoes let out a... and they all show up. Everyone, they're like, Andy's in town. It's like if a vampire found that like the virgin blood or something was around. They alert the authorities. Everyone comes and everyone gets a bite. And you always know who's the most disgusting of your friends. When that guy he goes, oh, I never get bit. It's the guy who has the most disgusting diet, his blood. Because, those mosquitoes have a sixth sense. It's those guys whose blood they want nothing to do with. But yeah, the mosquitoes are here.
They're here. Full effect.
And that's why...
we're inside.
Yeah, and I'll pretty much be that way till week 1 of the NFL. And don't try to tell me, other than when I go to Southern California, I lived in Southern California. People asked me, what's the best part about it? Is it the beautiful women? Is it no, it's the fact that there's maybe one mosquito, and we know I'm on a first name basis because there's no humidity. It could be 105 day in Southern California and 88 with 100% humidity or whatever it was on 4th of July is infinitely hotter. And what the hell was I just talking about? The mosquitoes, the humidity.
The humidity.
Why I hate them. I'm staying inside. But yeah, we are in full mosquito season, and I guess people talk about that all the time, but that's just kind of where we're at now. It's going to go just completely hot, and then it's going to be nice again. There is not a slow, gradual incline and decline. And I posed this question to some of our friends the other day. We said, if this became, they say, oh, well, this world is just going to be 2 seasons after a while. If you could have 2 seasons, if you take summer, you got to take winter. If you take fall, you got to take spring. So those are your 2 seasons. You only can have those 2 seasons. Now, I think it would be crazy for anyone. I thought this would be one of those things like on Family Feud where like 95. But there were a couple of friends of ours who actually went winter, summer.
That's those skiers, snowboarders that are also going to the beach.
Well, look, room temperature is 70 on your air conditioner. For most people's air conditioner, our standard room temperature is 70 degrees. We want to know where you're going to get that? Fall and spring. And that's what I'm going to be signing up for. Oh, so Joey Chestnut, yeah, he won that competition, but he wasn't the only one who had a historic win. In the World Series of Poker, something we like to watch when we're in our air conditioning. But last week we mentioned, friends of gamblers and stuff like that. It's tough to be a friend of a gambler. Probably equally as tough to be a wife or husband of a poker player. But anyway, the Joey Chestnuts of poker, Phil Hellmuth, who already holds the record for most World Series of Poker bracelets, he won like his record-breaking 17th, and I'm only going to bring him up. Actually, I probably have some listeners now who followed me from the sports betting days, so you guys will probably enjoy this. Phil Hellmuth, his nickname is the Poker Rat because he is a complainer. He talks crap. He if you beat him, he just goes nuts. It's not nice that he berates people, but I want to tell you why I respect Phil Hellmuth. Because do you know how easy it is not to care when you are undisputed, essentially number one in terms, I know it's disputed within the like high stakes, blah, 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 blah. But at the end of the day, he's won the most titles and that belongs to him and him only. If he wants, he could just go coach people and make money without even playing. But if you do something that he doesn't approve of with a $50 buy-in, this guy will go off on you for 25 minutes. The money means nothing to him. But that's how much this guy cares, that he will flip out on just some internet player on a meaningless hand for a tournament that means anything. But that's passion that only someone like me can respect. I love it. I love it because you know how many times you see people selling out?
Damn it! What the f***?
Hellmuth ain't selling out. He's in it for the right reasons, even though he is mostly a prick. So congrats to Phil Hellmuth, who's never going to see this, but I have... I am one of those few people who actually roots for him, despite the fact that he is a prick. But that's something that I've kind of always done. You see Nicholson right there? I just realized the other day, I was asking my friends, you know, growing up, you probably can't see, but I got a Nightmare on Elm Street poster over there, and I think it's a bad sign that my role models were all the villains in these movies. It was the Joker as Jack Nicholson. It was Freddy Krueger who killed people in their dreams. I don't know how you really want to try to shape the psychology of somebody growing up. Like I know I've always theorized if someone wants to be an exterminator, they're just 2 steps away from being like Jeffrey Dahmer. But I always idolized kind of these funny guys, these guys who it wasn't enough to like kill you. They had to do it like they had to insult you along the way. Maybe that's why I like Phil Hellmuth as well. But that was a screenshot from Batman. I was watching it the other night. It was on HBO Max, or what is it called now? They changed their names more times than our test. It was HBO Go. Then it was HBO Now. Then it was HBO Max. What is it, paused?
No, there's a creepy crawler going across the camera.
Really?
Times. Creep me out.
A mosquito.
It's got more legs than a mosquito.
That's disgusting. So that means he's on the glass?
He's gone across this way, and now he just came back the other way.
What a scumbag. Oh, is he on the inside? Oh, because it's dark in there, you prick.
Oh, yeah. He found a way in. As long as he doesn't find a way onto my leg or anything, I'm okay with it.
Oh, my God. And there's nothing I can eat behind the glass, like in one of those movies where I'm just, I'm stuck behind the clear glass. That's infuriating. And that's probably infuriating to watch if this guy... You let me know if this guy comes across again.
Oh, yeah.
God damn it. But anyway, I was watching Batman on HBO Go, Max Now, Cinemax Now, whatever the hell I did. Max Go. I really...
Showman? No.
It's Max because I see him. I see him. I'm killing him.
Oh, my God.
Squirmy and wormy and purple and green.
Oh, there he goes. I can't touch him. Oh, boy.
The grossest little creatures that you've ever seen.
Creepy crawlers. The You're Still Here podcast is proudly brought to you by Creepy Crawlers, one of which who I just destroyed in front of this camera. This thing was a creepy crawler. Remember when I used to do that? Fake sponsorships?
Got to get sponsors. Mosquito spray people. Be nice.
Ah! Oh, that would be great. If there was a sponsor that you want to find the right clientele.
Oh, yeah.
Off has a monopoly on they're another one of those companies, huh?
I'm not supporting them. I'd rather get the local guy who sprays.
The local guy who's...
The local mosquito
The
guy.
local... yeah, Off is one of those companies, one of these not often talked about companies that have a hidden monopoly going on. We've talked about the toothpaste game, how there's only 2 players left in that one, and don't bring up Sensodyne. Off is another one. Is there... Wait a minute. One almost came to me.
I only know of Off.
Yeah, there are a couple of these things. But anyway, I just ended the life of that creepy crawler. But going back to the Joker, it was on HBO Go along with another movie that I watched. I told you I have the affinity. But this, for what it's worth, this is a big budget horror movie, and it's on the front page of HBO Max Go Now, whatever the hell it is. So if you turn it on, it's right there. And it's The Evil Dead Rising or Rise, whatever. The last one came out like 10 years ago, so it's kind of a standalone. You didn't have to watch the old one to watch this one. And I don't think you're going to like it. That's all I'll say. I don't think you're going to like it. It just overdid it with the blood. There was just blood everywhere. It was one of those gory ones where it just got excessive. It was just blood everywhere. There was an elevator of blood, just pools of blood. And then eventually, like a teacher who yells at you every day and then you just dismiss it, it lost its shock value. There was no more shock to the blood. So that's something you could watch if you want. Last week I talked about how there was nothing on Netflix. There's no reason for me to adhere to these Netflix policies and sign up for an account and not share because there's nothing good on there. But I mentioned that Black Mirror episode. That was one of the 2 good ones that was on there. And remember, I'm a kind of guy who likes those kind of shows. I don't even know if you'll like it. Black Mirror has always been hit or miss. It's like that modern Twilight Zone, whatever. But there was one thing that I liked. I don't know if you got around to seeing it. It was the American Gladiators documentary.
Oh, you know I didn't miss it.
So you watched the one on Netflix, not the one on ESPN.
Oh boy.
Did you watch it recently? You probably watched the one on ESPN.
ESPN one.
Was Nitro in it?
No.
That's
Which
the
was
ESPN
upsetting.
one. Nitro is in this one. So it turns
Oh,
out that there
God.
were dueling American Gladiators documentaries,
That's why Nitro wasn't in there.
and most of the big people are in this one. It turns out that ESPN one was the secondary one, and this one I enjoyed a little bit more. Actually, a lot of bit more. And I was watching it, and if you don't know what American Gladiators is, just why it's hard to explain when you're talking about things like I remember the Tom Green show. We watched that; it was hysterical, and it was something that you'll see a million people do now on YouTube. Somebody going on the street doing like interview pranks. One time he went into a New York pizzeria and paid in pennies, just dropped a load of pennies on a miserable New York pizza guy's desk. And it was hysterical, but it retroactively, you can't watch it and say it's hysterical because there's been 5 million things since then, but it was a first of its kind at the time. American Gladiators was absolutely a first of its kind at the time. One thing that I'll say is they didn't know what CTE was back then. The type of injuries that that they put these people through.
They were trying to kill you.
When I watch these, like Dark Side of the Ring, which exposes what was really going on in many of those stories in the WWE, something like the American Gladiators documentary, I always want to see stuff that you know is going on, but nobody would ever talk about. You see these pictures in like a magazine, like, oh, everything looks so professional, that you know they were all banging each other. You know they were all doing drugs. You know they were all on roids. And anything that exposes that, I'm a big fan of. And guess what? They were doing roids.
Yep.
They were all banging each other.
Yeah.
And they were all dumb as rocks, by the way. I mean, these guys, you gotta hear some of the interviews. However, it was worth the watch. And that should build some credibility. If there's going to be something worth watching, I'm absolutely going to tell you about it. And I think that one was worth watching. Black Mirror, 50-50. I only thought 2 of the episodes were... Hey, one of them has Aaron Paul and Josh Hartnett as the main 2 guys. And it's just them 2. They're in space. And you know how Black Mirror is with that stuff. But like I had mentioned last week, hope you didn't go to the movie. Well, you know what? If you went to the movies, at least you were indoors and you weren't dealing with piping 100% degree humidity. Rain, by the way. They didn't mention that. Lightning storms. That's why they went to cancel it. But if you went to go watch Indiana Jones, it's just another movie that flopped, the latest in a series of never-ending movies that flopped because nobody can watch a movie in an hour and a half, and nobody can believe that Harrison Ford, in the first couple, we were like, come on, this guy's too old. He would never win these fights. That was like 35 years ago, and he's still rolling around there. They redid Indiana Jones with Shia LaBeouf like 15 years ago already.
Yeah, the Crystal Skulls. This was even worse than that one on Rotten Tomatoes.
Audience or tomatoes?
Critics, yeah.
You know, that's one of those things where you can call me skeptical, you can call me this. After I saw them, the critics give Chappelle a 3% or and then it moved its way up to 17% after the audience gave it a 99. Mm-hmm. The critics are all, and this is something we've known. Just like when I tell you never to trust people on Yelp with what bar to go to. When a place is actually fun, they're going to give it 2 stars. Why? Because they didn't get in. A place is just dead quiet, awful. You can hardly see your hand in front of your face because it's so dark. Oh, they'll give it 5 stars. And the same type of people are writing these Rotten Tomato reviews. And I don't trust it when it's from... I mostly trust the audience score. But then again, think about it. You guys know that there are these swaths of people who manipulate things. You know, they manipulate Amazon rankings. So you see a thing, it's a bunch of people in a click farm in Tibet. If you see... I just had another one in my head. When you see somebody get kicked off of like Twitter or something, there are these deplatforming groups that they strategically try to get accounts banned by reporting them. So, you know, they'll have hundreds of people report simultaneously so that the system just takes it down. And I have no reason to believe that Rotten Tomatoes, and when you have hundreds of millions and billions and however many millions of dollars on the line with the success of this movie, you're paying off critics, you're paying off whoever. But if you get an audience score with thousands and thousands and thousands, I am way more likely to trust that. But I ain't trusting those tomatoes, I'll tell you that. And then also, I always go back to Freddy versus Jason. What the hell is a critic evaluating with... I'm going to see Freddy Krueger fight Jason Voorhees. You think I was looking for a cinematic masterpiece? So... You need to take that into consideration. They're not going up against Forrest Gump. It's an idiotic movie, so you have to judge it on an idiotic critical scale. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
Total sense.
The same way that those can be manipulated, what was in my head, manipulating the Rotten Tomatoes and then Twitter and whatnot, that will bring me to what just got released in the last day or two, Threads. You know what Instagram's big plan all the time is, somebody came out with something good, we better do that. And the best example of that was Snapchat. When Snapchat came out originally and people were posting, they were snapping or whatever, Instagram came out with stories, things that would last 24 hours. So if someone comes out with something, they just try to emulate it. Not working so well with the Reels compared to TikTok, but it ain't going to stop them from the next one, and that is Threads. They're coming out with Threads to combat Twitter. And what I'm about to say, it's not politically motivated at all, but I'm a guy who likes to talk shit. I've always liked to talk shit. I'm always worried that I'm still self-censoring myself, that I'm not saying what I could have because it's just not worth it at the moment. I'm not at a point where I can blah, blah, blah. I'm one of those people where if I get banned, I don't have the avenues to weasel my way out of it. I'm not big enough where I can have somebody tweet about it and then they go, oh, we made a mistake. So I have to kind of really skirt the waters there. I have to pick and choose when I want to go wild. But one thing that's certain about Twitter, and I told you this the other week, we saw a dead person being dragged through New York City. It's an awful thing. It is absolutely awful. We saw people dying via shark bites in Egypt where we never knew that there were pyramids, temples, and shark bites. But one thing we knew is you can put some shit on Twitter. And I really appreciate that. And now Threads is owned by Facebook. And Facebook, just yesterday, in like the first day of Threads, already just banning people left, right. But who are they banning and why? I'll never talk about politics stuff. All I'll say is there was a ruling in the courts saying that the government has to stop meeting up with these social media companies because that's what they were doing. The government canceled their Wednesday meetings with Facebook. They had weekly Wednesday meetings with Facebook, the State Department and whatnot. I'm just going to start saying random shit, but this is true. You can look it up. Why am I going to go to a platform? Just name it the State Department, because every little thing you tweet on there just getting kicked right up to the State Department. Put me on the Ruckus app, and that's Twitter. And yes, I still do believe that it's misery's expansion draft. Twitter is the most miserable person in every town on one platform, just complaining and arguing about everything that's ever went wrong for them. But I got news for you. That is a closer indication to how life really is. Okay. One last thing that I want to tell you about, adding on to this summer being miserable. It might not be miserable, supposedly, if you're short. Why is that? Because it's time for our scam of the week.
It's a scam.
That's a scam.
What a scam that was.
So this was all a scam, huh?
This week's scam of the week, Short King Summer?
Short King Summer.
It's Short King Summer, ladies and gentlemen, which means if you're short, meaning, I hate to say this. No, I'm not going to say it. I don't know where you want. Remember, girls on dating apps, if you're under 6 feet, you're short, which means me, who I never thought about it a day in my life, I made it by 1 inch. I mean, less than an inch. I'm under an inch. I'm in the acceptable range. And now, magically, we went to anything under 6 feet is unacceptable. To we're in Short King Summer where girls are lining up to get short guys, I think I'm going to need to see a little bit. Everybody loves saying that, oh, it's Short King Summer. It's all about the short. Oh, yeah, bring one to the party. Let me see you walk into the wedding with one where he has his arms around you during the slow dance and you're looking down at him.
And you're wearing heels doing it.
Yes. It is a scam. It's a scam. It's a self-evident scam. You don't have to have your ears up to find out that one. You don't have to do any investigating to know it's a scam. And
big scam.
do you find it somewhat insulting?
I mean, as a
Short
As
King?
a short king, I think it's hysterical. I've had the Short King Summer now. I've had the dad bod movement.
Yeah.
I should just be walking up and down runways in Paris.
According to the world, you are the most desirable bachelor there is right now.
Oh, yeah.
A short king with a dad bod.
Oh my God. Where's this line of girls?
Yeah, they're right out there in the middle of nowhere because they don't exist. What they do is they just want to tell you these things. With the dad bod, it's a weakness test. They want somebody who is either skinny, normal, whatever. They want him to eat himself out of the dating pool to get the weak ones out of there. They want you to think it. This one is even more sinister because the short guys, they can't do anything about it. I wish there was a way to actually show my appreciation for short. I mean, the way it's deemed, I actually feel somewhat bad because, I made it into the acceptable pool by under an inch. Nobody has ever my whole life said, Andy, man, you're kind of short. Never, not once. And the fact that I'm in there by an inch, thank God it's Short King Summer.
It's finally here.
It's such a scam.
We have now, we're about 1 week into July.
Yep.
And that puts us at, once you're at the 1st of September, I think you're in. You know? So 7 weeks, and maybe me and you can go outside one night because there's not just a whole rack of mosquitoes.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
It's
It's getting pretty warm here. They're lasting a little bit longer.
How about when people tell you, like, oh, yeah, you got to get those backyard things, and they create this fake perimeter of, like,
Yeah.
of like a wavelength or something, you know what I'm saying? It's a wireless signal to keep them out. Oh, I've sat behind one of those, just got absolutely destroyed.
I've sat on top of a citronella candle. It doesn't help. I don't care.
I trust those loud old bug zappers. That's about it. And there are a few things more gratifying than that. If you're somebody who hates bugs, there are a few things more gratifying than hearing that zap. You know how people, like, they listen to, I put on the sounds of waves in the middle of the Caribbean to fall asleep.
I want to know my enemies are going down. Out
Yeah. I want to hear mosquitoes being fried day and night.
It's an aggressive zap.
I've heard some where, like, they get zapped and they must have, like, a guy falling down a ladder. I've heard them, their zaps on the, like, I hear like it's a couple extra zaps on the way down. And I don't know, maybe that's the Joker in me. Fortunately, my cutoff is, like, this is it's a known weird thing where we arbitrarily pick which animals we're cool with absolutely destroying.
Yes, it is.
Like, what is everybody's limit? Bugs. Oh yeah, just step on that. Like, who would feel bad for a cockroach? Unanimously, we want them just eradicated in the worst way possible.
I don't know about 2023. Maybe there's
yeah,
there's probably a few people out there in government.
Cockroach summer.
Yes,
It's cockroach summer. That's gonna be
They're
the next
finding
one.
something great that they do
Minimalist
for
summer?
the planet.
Minimalist summer, where you live in an awful apartment
Full of cockroaches.
We love it's cockroach summer. Who needs the oceanfront view? We're doing minimalist. I think for me, right around squirrel. That's where I start feeling bad. If a squirrel gets ran over by a car, do you feel bad?
I feel terrible. I actually was driving one day not far from here, and the person in front of me hit a squirrel, and now I had to watch the squirrel with his two front legs try to pull himself off the road.
That's disgusting.
And it was probably the most traumatic thing ever.
That's bad.
I was thinking about that for days. Awful.
Well, I can't think of a nicer way to end this podcast.
On a happy note.
Just think of a run-over squirrel and the creepy crawler that I eradicated. Thank you guys for coming back each week. The setup will be done a little bit nicer. Even Jack is gone right now. Even Jack just took off. So that is our signal to end it. That's not the bat signal, that's the Joker signal. Thank you guys for coming back. You know what to do. Make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube channel. And if you're a watcher, you should always probably subscribe to one of the audio platforms, because on an idiotic week like last week where I don't record it properly, it will be available for you on there. For me and Tony Twist, enjoy the unenjoyable summer that has about 7 weeks left. Hopefully you planned a couple vacations to Salem, Massachusetts, to go visit the Sanderson sisters. I'll be back with you next week where we talk about the next variety of nothing topics going on. Take it easy, have a good one, and I will see you then.